It was Nadia's first night shift. The old Ravenmore hospital stood tall and gray under the cloudy night sky. Built in the 1800s, the building still had its original stone walls and creaking wooden floors. Nadia, a 22-year-old nursing student from Indonesia, had arrived in England just 2 weeks ago for her internship. She was excited and nervous. Everyone said Ravenmore had history, but no one really told her what kind of history. That night, she was assigned to the East Wing. "Are you sure?" asked one of the older nurses, a woman with sunken eyes named Agnes. "Most interns stay near the main station. The East Wing is strange." Nadia laughed nervously. "I'll be fine. It's just a hospital, right?" Agnes didn't smile. By 11 p.m., the wing was silent. No patients, no doctors, just Nadia and her clipboard. She checked supplies, restocked gloves, and walked the dim hallways slowly, getting used to the layout. The hallway lights flickered sometimes. She thought it was just bad wiring. The whole wing smelled faintly of cleaning chemicals and something else, like old rust. She passed a small old door with a faded sign, "Toilet, staff only." For some reason, the air near it was colder. As she walked away, she thought she heard a soft knock from inside. Tap, tap, tap. She stopped, turned, stared at the door. Silence. Shrugging it off, she continued her rounds. At midnight, Nadia sat at the empty nurse's desk sipping lukewarm coffee. Suddenly, a wave of nausea hit her. Her stomach churned. Maybe it was the vending machine sandwich. She looked around. The main restroom was too far, and she didn't want to leave the wing unattended. She remembered the old toilet in the East Wing hallway. Despite a strange feeling crawling up her spine, she grabbed her ID badge and flashlight and walked toward the door. The hallway felt heavier now. The lights were dimmer than before. As she reached the toilet door, she noticed something odd. The faded sign was no longer dusty. Someone had wiped it clean. Her fingers trembled slightly as she pushed the door open. It was a small bathroom with 3 stalls. The overhead light flickered. The mirror above the sink was cracked down the middle. The tile floor was damp, even though no one had used the room in years. According to the cleaning log on the wall, the last recorded cleaning was 1996. Nadia entered the last stall and locked the door. She sat quietly, trying to calm her stomach. Then she heard it again. Tap, tap, tap. It came from the stall next to her. She froze. "Hello?" she asked, voice shaking. "Is someone there?" No answer. But then came a low sobbing sound, soft and wet, like someone crying into their hands. Her heart pounded. "Ma'am? Do you need help?" Still no answer, just the sound of someone weeping. Nadia slowly leaned down to look beneath the divider. No feet. Suddenly, the sobbing stopped. The silence was worse. Nadia stood up quickly, flushed, and unlocked the door. As she stepped out, every faucet in the bathroom suddenly turned on, all by themselves. Water gushed out, brown and red, splashing against the sink and floor. She ran to the door, but it slammed shut before she could reach it. The lights cut out. Total darkness. Then a voice whispered right beside her ear, "Why did you open the door?" She screamed. She was found the next morning by security, collapsed in the hallway just outside the East Wing toilet, unconscious and soaked in red-tinged water. Her fingernails were torn as if she had tried to claw her way out. She didn't speak for 2 days. When she finally did, her voice was weak, trembling. "There's something inside the last stall. It's not a person, it's not alive, but it knows I saw it." The hospital director transferred her out of Ravenmore immediately, but the East Wing toilet remained. The cleaning log was still dated 1996, and every night since Nadia's encounter, the same quiet sound echoed down the East Wing hallway after midnight. Tap, tap, tap. Some stains can't be cleaned. Ravenmore Hospital continued to operate as usual, but behind the scenes, the staff had started feeling uneasy. Ever since Nadia's incident, one by one, they began complaining about strange happenings in the East Wing. An elderly nurse named Mrs. Elspeth, who was responsible for the night cleaning duties, confided in the security officer, "I never touched the toilet over there. Not because I'm scared, but because I know it's been cleaned, but not by me, not by a human." The security officer just laughed cynically, but that night he didn't go home. The security guard's name was Marcus Shaw, a young man, skeptical, full of curiosity. He always thought the hospital's ghost stories were just to scare the interns. But that night he decided to prove that it was all nonsense. He grabbed a flashlight, a small handycam, and began recording as he walked through the second-floor East Wing at exactly 1:13 a.m. This is Marcus Shaw, Night Report. Entering the forbidden area that's supposedly haunted, he slowly opened the toilet door. Then he filmed the mirror, the old faucet, and the 3 stalls. Everything seemed empty. But when the camera was directed to the far right stall, the screen started to shake. What is that? The right stall door slowly shut on its own. Then, from under the door gap, black water began to seep out, thick and smelling of metal. Marcus backed up in panic. Then, through the camera's speaker, a woman's voice was heard. "Please clean me, I'm still dirty." The next morning, Marcus was missing. His handycam footage was found on the sink, still recording, but the battery had died. But the last recording showed something unexplainable. In the final seconds of the video, the camera fell to the floor, but the lens captured a pair of bare feet standing in front of the stall, the feet floating a few centimeters off the ground. Then the sound of faucets turning on one by one before everything went silent. Marcus was never found. After Marcus's disappearance, the management of Ravenmore was forced to open the hospital's old archives. They found incident notes dated November 1974. The bathroom cleaner named Agatha Dorrance was found dead, locked inside the east toilet stall. Suspected suicide, but the wounds in her position suggest an attempt to escape. Her hands were covered in blood, nails broken. No cleaning tools were found, but the entire toilet was spotless, as if it had been sterilized. Agatha's name was never mentioned again. But after that, the cleaning logs for the toilet were never filled in again, because everyone who tried always resigned or disappeared. In the dark hallway on the second floor, the clock was almost striking 1 a.m. Mrs. Elspeth stood still in front of the forbidden toilet, holding an old bucket and a cleaning broom. Her face was tense. "She's been waiting long enough. Do you think she wants to be clean? She wants others to be dirty with her." As the toilet door began to creak open by itself, only one sound could be heard from inside, a soft and wet. "One more?" Some doors open with keys, some open with blood. Ravenmore Hospital had grown quieter than usual. The staff began avoiding the second floor of the East Wing even during the day, but management couldn't close off the area entirely. The hospital still needed space. Due to overcrowding, a new mental health patient, Emily Hartley, was forced to be placed in room 208, just 2 doors away from the cursed toilet. Emily, 24 years old, was transferred from a psychiatric hospital in Manchester. Her medical history recorded severe schizophrenia, visual hallucinations, and a trauma related to water. However, she seemed calm during the early days, until the 4th night. The night shift nurse heard the sound of something breaking from Emily's room. When she entered, she found the mirror shattered and Emily standing in the middle of the room, drenched in water, but her body was dry. On the cracked mirror were strange marks, as if written with fingers. "She saw me through the reflection." Emily continued to stare at the nurse and whispered, "She didn't die from suicide. She was pulled into the dirty place." Soon after, Nadia, who had once been treated after her traumatic experience in the toilet, returned to Ravenmore, but not as a nurse. She came back as a patient. Nadia had recovered in Indonesia, but her obsession with Ravenmore had never faded. She insisted on finishing what was left unfinished. The hospital management, whether out of pity or fear of scandal, allowed Nadia to visit the hospital's archive room for trauma therapy. There, Nadia reread all the documents about Agatha's death, including autopsy photos she had never seen before. One detail made her freeze. In Agatha's broken nails, there were small shards of glass from a mirror. That night, Nadia took the mirror shards to the cursed toilet. She entered alone. The toilet had been officially closed off, but the door's lock always seemed to open on its own. She stood in front of the cracked mirror, pressing the shard into the missing piece. Something happened. The mirror began to glow faintly. Mist started to emerge from within the glass. Not a reflection, but a gap to another dimension. Dark, damp, full of water and blood. Behind the mist, Nadia saw a woman in cleaning clothes, her face blank and her eyes completely black. It was Agatha. She wasn't angry. She was crying. I was sacrificed. I didn't die. I was trapped. Suddenly, wet hands reached out from the mirror and grabbed Nadia, but not to kill her. Instead, she was shown Agatha's final moments. In 1974, Agatha discovered the head doctor of the hospital, Dr. Ezra Holloway, performing a dark ritual inside the toilet, using dead patient organs and menstrual blood to cleanse the soul of a malevolent entity known as the Raven entity. When Agatha caught him, she was locked inside, tortured, and ultimately sacrificed as a medium for purification, not because she was guilty, but because she knew too much. The ritual failed, and the spirit of the Raven entity instead became trapped in the right stall, cursing anyone who entered. Agatha, now a trapped spirit, could only whisper, clean, and pull anyone who came near, not to kill, but to warn. When Nadia regained consciousness, she found herself back in the hospital, but now her right eye was blind. It wasn't from an injury. It was because that eye could now see into the other world, seeing all the spirits that haunted Ravenmore. And in every reflection in the mirror, she saw one figure, Dr. Ezra Holloway, who should have died in 1982, walking slowly down the hospital corridor, carrying a bucket and a mop. Time to clean up again. There is no cleansing without sacrifice. The filth must feed. Nadia now resided in the quarantine ward, but not because of a mental disorder. Rather, something within her had changed. She could feel cold spots, see shadows and metal reflections, and even hear whispers from the dripping faucets. Emily, the psychiatric patient from room 208, had become more uncontrollable. She drew strange symbols on the walls with her menstrual blood, and every night she screamed, "Her blood isn't enough! She's hungry! She's awakening!" The doctors believed this to be nothing more than delusional behavior, but Nadia knew the truth. The Raven entity would fully rise if it wasn't stopped, and there was only one way: complete the ritual that failed 50 years ago, but this time with the right sacrifice. In the hospital archive room, Nadia and a young nurse named Callum discovered forbidden documents. Raven Ritual, Soul Cleansing Phase, handwritten by Dr. Ezra Holloway himself. The document explained, the Raven Ritual was a summoning of a spiritual cleansing entity to erase the stains of humanity that cannot be redeemed by medicine. The victim must be female, virgin, actively menstruating, and have severe trauma. If the victim resists spiritually, the spirit will not be satisfied. It will remain, merging with the place, starving forever. Agatha had not willingly been sacrificed, and that was why the entity remained trapped in the right stall of the toilet. And Ezra, he hadn't died. He had successfully transferred his consciousness into the body of a coma patient, becoming a part of the building itself. Ezra was the entity. He was the toilet. Nadia devised a crazy plan. She, Emily, and Callum descended to the second-floor toilet on the night of the red moon, the only time the dimensional door could be fully opened. Nadia knew she had to become the victim, but in full consciousness, willing to be absorbed, not forced. Before the ritual began, the toilet mirror trembled. Water began rising from the toilet bowl, and Ezra's voice echoed in the room. "You think you can cleanse me? I am the cleansing." But Nadia stood firm in the middle of the room and recited the reversal curse from Ezra's journal, words that could only be read by those with sight. "With blood that understands, with a soul that accepts, I return the filth to its source." The toilet shook violently. A red light erupted from the right stall. Emily began to convulse, her body being pulled like a puppet to the ceiling. Callum screamed, blood pouring from his eyes. Nadia stood tall. Then, she stepped into the right stall. The stall door closed on its own. The toilet stopped bleeding. The mirror returned to darkness. The lights flickered back on. For the first time in 50 years, Emily collapsed, unconscious. Callum fainted. When the staff arrived, they found both of them alive, but Nadia was gone. All that remained was a nurse's uniform, wet, clean, hanging on the door hook of the right stall. Ravenmore Hospital was renovated and reopened. The East Wing toilet was turned into a small museum, a memorial to a long-forgotten tragedy. But sometimes at 3 in the morning, new nurses who dare to enter the toilet claim to see the shadow of a woman standing in the right stall. Occasionally, the mirror reflects their own faces with someone else's eyes. On the back wall of the stall, faint writing appears only when touched by steam. I chose to remain filthy so you could be clean.